When images surfaced online of a dangerously bloated orangutan in a small zoo, veterinarian Charles was immediately alarmed. The animal looked sick, not simply overfed. Locals familiar with the zoo insisted this wasn't about diet, it was something far worse. Driven by both concern and curiosity, Charles knew he had to examine the animal himself. What he found shocked him. Upon arriving at the enclosure, Charles was struck by the orangutan's condition. The animal barely acknowledged his presence, lying motionless and weak. Charles gathered his courage and began his examination. It didn't take long to confirm what many suspected: this was not a simple case of overeating. Something deeper was wrong, and the orangutan's life was hanging in the balance. The zoo had long been under criticism. Visitors complained about poor conditions, neglect, and the staff's refusal to take concerns seriously. The orangutan, named Toothy, had recently ballooned in size and was now nearly immobile, spending its days lying down and unmoving. To most visitors, it seemed like clear overfeeding. But people who knew the zoo's reputation suspected otherwise. The place was known for odd practices and shady ownership. Then an off-duty police officer visited the zoo with his children and was horrified. The animal's condition, especially the orangutan's, left him shaken. He returned to work and launched an investigation into the zoo, suspecting neglect and potential animal cruelty. He had taken photos which eventually made their way online. One image of the lethargic, swollen orangutan went viral, drawing outrage and curiosity from thousands. One of those viewers was Charles. He'd seen photos on the zoo's website from just a year earlier, and in those, Toothy looked completely normal. What could have caused such extreme swelling in only 12 months? He reached out to the zoo for answers, but was surprised when a police officer answered the phone. The investigation had escalated quickly, and the zoo had been shut down. The animals were being transferred out, but care was limited and progress was slow. Charles offered to help. With years of veterinary experience, he was welcomed by authorities who were overwhelmed and understaffed. Though he was there to help all the animals, he was most interested in Toothy. But upon arrival, Charles was told that the orangutan had been nearly written off. Its condition was severe, and the lead vet didn't expect it to survive. Unwilling to give up, Charles insisted on examining the animal. It was clear from the start that something internal was wrong. The orangutan's abdomen was swollen, but not with fat. It was taut, like a balloon. More troubling, the enclosure was suspiciously clean. There was no waste, which was a red flag. The orangutan likely hadn't defecated in a long time. A digestive blockage was the most likely cause. There was only one option left: surgery. It was risky, especially alone, and sedation could be fatal in the animal's weak state. But Charles knew waiting would be worse. He administered a carefully measured sedative, and once the orangutan was unconscious, began the delicate operation. As he worked, he discovered the real cause of the problem: a blockage in the intestines made up of plastic food trays, likely from staff who hadn't removed food linings. The animal had ingested them, causing a buildup of waste and life-threatening pressure in its digestive system. With great care, Charles removed the plastic obstruction and cleaned the area. The procedure went smoothly, but now all they could do was wait. The next morning, Charles returned to check on his patient. To his amazement and the shock of the other staff, the orangutan was already improving. Its breathing was stronger, and it had shifted its body for the first time in days. The turnaround was nothing short of miraculous. Charles decided then and there to personally oversee the orangutan's recovery. Within weeks, Toothy was active again, slowly regaining strength and mobility. Eventually, he would be transferred to a wildlife sanctuary where he could live in proper care and comfort. Thanks to Charles's quick thinking and determination, one animal was given a second chance. But the story sparked a wider movement to hold private zoos more accountable and ensure that no animal ends up suffering in silence again.